Welcome to Love and Abuse, the show about navigating the difficult relationship. From simple disagreements to emotionally abusive behaviors, you deserve respect and kindness. All the information on this show is meant for educational purposes only. Always seek a professional for your mental health and well-being, and always pick your battles wisely. I'm your host, Paul Coliani. So when is the best time to talk about divorce? I'm not going to talk about every possible scenario that could come up, but I did receive a message from somebody who wanted to know the best time, and I'll just read you the message they sent. They said, I've been in an abusive marriage for more than 15 years, but I've just come to realize it over the last 36 months or so. I've been documenting my spouse's behavior over that time period, and I see a clear pattern. She's blown up at me for small things multiple times over the last week, and now we're having a relatively peaceful day. But again, because I've documented and I know what's coming, I know this current peace won't last very long. I've decided to get a divorce and to have the conversation with her in a couple of months once I'm ready. However, since I know that this cycle of ups and downs will continue, my question is this: is it better to have the conversation with her about getting divorced during a future calm period, which may confuse her and even strengthen her belief in her own victimhood, or during a future rough period where emotions are already out of control and it could put me and the kids at more risk? Thanks in advance. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. You're going through it, and that it has come to basically you knowing with all your heart that you just need a divorce and to get away from this. If you've been listening a while, you know I don't encourage separation or divorce, but I don't discourage it either. It's a personal choice, and I always leave it up to you to make that decision. Not that you need my permission, but I don't like to push you or guide you or tell you where you need to go and what you need to do. I just help you gain the information that you need to make the right decision. It's really all it is. You have enough information to make that decision. And what I try to share on this show is you don't look at what could be, you look at what is. And what has been happening is what is. The trend that has been is the trend that is what's happening today, if that makes sense. So if you can look back at the past, for example, this person, if you can look back at the past 15 years and ask yourself what has been the trend, and you can say it's always been this, or it has gotten worse over time, then you know what it is. You know where you are today and what you have and maybe what you have to do. So I started by saying, I don't encourage or discourage separation or divorce or anything like that, but I do encourage using your resources and having conversations and saying, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. And if we can't come to an agreement, then maybe it won't work out. And so we have to make a choice at that point. And sometimes, yes, we have to separate, we have to divorce, whatever it takes to move on. And that is I say this a lot, it is a gift to give to someone when you no longer love them or you even fear them. It's a gift to give to yourself. It's a gift to give to the other person, because you are no longer living a lie, essentially. If you fear the other person, or if you are no longer in love or loving toward them or can't be, then staying and pretending that you don't fear or that you're in love or whatever is essentially living a lie. And I don't mean to say that you're a liar and you're being deceptive, and that's not the case at all. I'm talking about the lies we tell ourselves. What are you telling yourself about the relationship that you may be in right now, or one that you've experienced before, about how it is, how it's going? We just don't want to live the lie that we might tell ourselves. And it doesn't mean I'm telling you that it's time to leave, it's time to divorce, but sometimes it's time to have a hard conversation. And so this person sounds like maybe they've had a hard conversation with their partner, and it probably hasn't gone anywhere, hasn't improved at all. If they haven't had the conversation, that might be something worth talking about, unless you can't have a conversation. If things keep getting twisted around and you express your needs, you express what you would like to have in the relationship, and it turns into them using your words against you, using how you feel against you, twisting it, trying to make it your fault. If you would just change, then everything would be better, even though they're doing what they can to control and manipulate you. And you are in, like this person's in a very difficult situation where their partner is blowing up, and I'm assuming they've had conversations and it's not improved. I like to have the conversation first. I like to bring up the hard stuff before we get into the next stage. And it's possible this person has done that. Now, there's also, like I just said, they could turn things around on you, or they could be dangerous. Like one of the very last comments this person made was, or during a future rough period where emotions are already out of control and it could put me and the kids at more risk. So there's a lot in between the lines in this person's message. There's a lot going on under the surface, and the way this is written is telling me, at least, I'm kind of doing a mind read here, telling me that, yeah, I've done everything I can and I'm done. It's over. I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. And the words "at risk" tells me that this person has dealt with a lot, and they believe that their partner is a danger of some sort. And so this person does not want to put themselves or their kids at risk. And so the question they're asking, I'll get right to it, is should I have this conversation about getting divorced during a calm period, or should I just bring it up during one of her blow-ups or one of our arguments? And my answer will always be during the calm period. Oh, let me put it this way. 99% of the time, it will always be during the calm period. If you can. Sometimes you get pushed to the edge and you just blurt it out, I want a divorce or whatever. And that's going to happen. And that's fine. It's fine, because that's what's been building up. You've been thinking about it, and then you are pushed to the edge. And some people need that. Some people need that push to the edge, to the ledge, where they know they're going to fall, and it's either fall or blurt out, I don't want this relationship anymore. It's either fall or stay, and they realize at that point they've been pushed so far that they're about to stay in a situation that they cannot handle anymore and is way too damaging. And so they've made that choice at that moment, at the precipice, before they fall off. So if you are pushed to that point, then you're pushed to that point. That's just the way it goes. And that's when it has to happen, because there you are. And some people need that as their incentive, as their motivation, that buildup of energy. You can't push me anymore. I'm done. So if you are in that highly energized or in the middle of an argument and you feel pushed to that point, if it's going to come out, it's going to come out. You probably can't control it. It's just you've had enough, you're done. And there's the breaking point, and it's out when you talk about it. I recommend, if you can, to talk during the calm period. Not that it makes it any better or any easier. It's just helpful if you are able to articulate the reason, if you want to give it, and it also comes across as well thought out. So when you are in that calm state together and you have decided this is what you want to do, it makes sense that you are coming from a calm, rational, reasoning state. Because what usually happens is an abusive person will blame your emotional state for the problem, calling you too sensitive or saying that you're just having a reaction and it's your fault, your problem, and you should relax, and they'll do everything they can to bring you back from that state so you don't make such a life-changing decision in that state. But you're allowed to. You're allowed to make these life-changing decisions because you've been thinking about it for a long time. And when you've been thinking about it, it's either going to come out when you're calm or going to come out when you're highly charged. When it comes out when you're calm, one of the primary reasons for that is to show them that you have thought about this a long time. Because it's hard to tell that someone has thought about something for a long time in the middle of a highly charged conversation or argument. Because how many times have we been in a somewhat decent relationship and said something out of anger and realized, I didn't really mean that. I feel so bad I said that. It just came out. It was a defense mechanism, and I had to say something because they were pushing my buttons. And so people can interpret things that way. They can think, oh, you were just angry. So let's just get past that and move forward. And now you got to bring it up again. Now you got to tell them, no, this is what I really want, which is, again, perfectly fine, perfectly feasible. It would do the trick. If you did it during an explosion or during an argument, during a highly energized state, an abusive person that you want to leave will often have the ability to point out that you are being irrational when you're not. You're just protecting yourself. You are expressing your boundaries. You are telling the other person what you don't want anymore. And instead of them honoring that and backing off when they don't, they are trying to push you into a more submissive control or controllable state so that they can get you to say what they want you to say and do what they want you to do. So that's why I lean toward talking about this while you're in a calmer state. It's going to ruin the mood. It's going to be difficult. It will often be difficult because it could still turn into an explosion. It could still turn into something that you don't want to deal with. So this is another personal choice. We make a personal choice to leave an abusive person. We make a personal choice when we want to express that we want to leave. And the best way to look at it is it's going to be hard either way. It might be extremely hard. Either way, it's going to be difficult because if they have been one to twist your words and make it your fault and play the victim like this person's saying, then what you'll experience is all of that typically when you go to express yourself like this. Now, let me add this, is that I've often found when the abusive person finally gets the news that the other person wants to leave them or get a divorce, a light bulb goes on. A switch gets flipped and a light bulb goes on over their head. And a lot of them will finally realize that their behavior is bad enough to push the other person out of their life. And when they realize that, that light bulb moment can be, no pun intended, enlightening. That light bulb moment can be enlightening for them. And they finally stop their righteous, selfish behavior. This can and does happen a lot. So you've suffered day after day after week after all this time, months and years, and they can see that you're visibly upset. They might even know that their behavior is causing this, but they still think it's your fault. They still blame you. They believe that they're right, and so they don't change their own behavior. I mean, that is the primary reason abusive or emotionally abusive people never change, is that they really believe they're right. I know I'm right about this, and if they're crying about that, that's not on me, that's on them. All they need to do is change, and we'll both be happy. I've had to work with people to teach them that kind of toxic thinking is what pushes people away. It's also very damaging. It damages the person that we're supposed to love, and causes them to feel unlovable and unworthy and, quite frankly, like a piece of crap. And when you're with somebody that makes you feel like that, you don't want to be with that person anymore. And so the solution is to make them feel wonderful. But abusive people don't do that. They're stuck in this line of thinking. So the reason I'm sharing this with this person and you is that sometimes, quite often, when you say, I've had enough, I'm done, I call it when somebody reaches their threshold. When you've reached your threshold, the very pinnacle of what you can handle and tolerate, and you finally say, I'm done, I've had enough, I'm leaving, I want a divorce or whatever it is, that light bulb can come on and they can say, oh, so everything I've done is bad. It's so bad that they're going to leave me. As ridiculous as that might sound to a lot of people listening right now, because what they're thinking is, or what you're thinking is, how could you not know this? How could you not see this all this time? Could you not see my visible pain and suffering? Could you not tell that I was unhappy and that your behavior caused this and is causing this divorce right now, is causing me to make this decision? How could you not see that? And that light bulb moment finally makes them see it. It's the turning on the light in the dark, because they've been in the dark, not because of you or anything that you've done, but because they just refused to see anything but their own perspective. And when that light bulb comes on, they might see it for the first time ever. Now, the flip side to that, actually, there's two flip sides to that. One is that they pretend that they believe they need help. That's one flip side. The second flip side, and I know I'm using this term wrong, but just bear with me, we'll get through it. The second flip side, or the second kind of response that you'll see, is one of apathy, and even one of anger. And when you get the anger or apathetic response, they are going to be either difficult or just cold. They might say, I don't care, or I never loved you anyway. That kind of response I've seen before. Many people that have written to me have said that to me, and it's going to feel like the last X number of years was completely wasted. To you, it's going to feel like that to you, even though all the emotional investment that you both put into it meant something to both of you. But when they get angry or defensive and they say, well, I don't care anyway, you're just a you-know-what, and it doesn't bother me, so whatever, they could appear apathetic or angry. And you just have to be prepared for one of these, I think I said three, one of these three responses, because any one of them could pop up when this happens, when you share the news that you want to leave. And one of the most common responses is, I promise I'll change. And I just want you to be careful with this one, because there can be begging, there can be groveling, there can be somebody on their knees, please, please don't leave. I'll do anything, I'll do anything. And if that's the case, if you decide to give somebody a chance after they say that, you have to be really careful and observant about what happens next. And you have to see true change. And true change isn't someone saying, I promise I'll change. True change is them showing up different, completely unrecognizably different. That means that what used to trigger them no longer triggers them. If you like to talk to your ex once in a while, or you have to talk to your ex once in a while, and they don't like it, and they give you a hard time about it, then the person who really has changed and is healing is not going to give you a hard time about it again, because they're changing. They're different. And you, again, won't recognize them, because it'll be like seeing a different person altogether. So if you decide to stay with somebody after you've decided to leave them because they've said, I promise I'll change, you need to see some major changes. And those changes need to be action-oriented, not about planning to change. I will change soon is not the same as I just called the therapist and made an appointment. I will change soon is not the same as I looked at that guy's program, Healed Being, and I'm joining it now. That's my program. It's for emotionally abusive people who want to change and heal. And I've seen many heal. I've seen many change. I've seen relationships heal. I've seen relationships also part. They've gone their separate ways, but the healing still takes place and they change their lives. That's what you need to see in someone who's healing from being emotionally abusive. You need to see them change, not plan on changing, not talk about changing, but doing things that they just wouldn't do before. And this is the hard part for them. Being vulnerable, being open and honest and transparent and humble. Humility is at the top or near the top of who they need to be showing up as going forward. And that means that they are open to being wrong about everything they thought they were right about. That's really what it comes down to. So if you are not seeing somebody that you are planning on leaving or planning on divorce and they say, I promise I'll change. If you are not seeing humility, if you are not seeing vulnerability, and you are not seeing it for many months, then you are not seeing change. That's not how change happens. Change happens by being vulnerable, by being humble, by realizing, oh crap, I've done bad, I've done awful, I've caused this person to suffer for so long. I've really messed up and I need to change whether this relationship survives or not. That's the kind of change you need to see. What's most important is whether you're in their life or not. If they promise they'll change, will they continue to honor that commitment, whether you're in their life or not? That is important. Because if you say, well, I'm going to leave anyway, and they say, well, then I'm not going to bother changing, then you know they really didn't want to change, and they probably didn't think that they were doing anything wrong. And that's important to know. It's important to know for you. So I hope I've answered the question that this person wrote. I'm so sorry again that you're going through this. I do wish you much strength, and I hope you heal after all this is said and done, or start healing now. It sounds like you know the next step that you want to take. You're just trying to plan accordingly. And I've given you my opinion. I'm not saying it's perfect or right, because I think it's going to be difficult no matter what, and it may turn into a possible abusive situation. And of course, my disclaimer is if she's dangerous, you don't want to expose yourself to danger and you need to plan accordingly to that. Or if she's very dangerous, violent or something, then you certainly don't want to be around that. And of course, your kids are important in that respect as well. So I'm assuming that you have thought about all this stuff, which is why I'm giving you my thoughts and the way I'm giving them. So I hope that makes sense. Thanks for listening to another episode of Love and Abuse. Share this with others who might benefit. Love and Abuse is the official podcast of the Mean Workbook, an assessment and healing guide for difficult relationships. The workbook contains a 200-point assessment to tell you exactly what's causing you to leave so many interactions feeling bad. Gain clarity on your relationship today. Visit loveandabuse.com for more information. You can also listen to the podcast over there, and there's even a safe listening button where all the titles to the episodes are changed so that you don't have to explain to anyone what you're listening to and why. If you've discovered that you are doing the hurtful behaviors to someone that you care about and you want to change that about yourself, sign up for the only program that walks you through the entire process of healing from being emotionally abusive. It has changed thousands of lives and relationships and can change yours too. Visit healedbeing.com to start with some free lessons right away. This show exists to remind you that you are not alone and you're not going crazy. You are worthy of respect, kindness, and love, and you deserve to be accepted exactly as you are. Stay strong. We'll talk again soon.